This video is to represent the setup requirements for a Toro IntelliSense. The important part about setup is to start in the setup mode. We want to begin with the year and make sure that the year is set properly. The lower line controls the functionality. So you can see by turning the lower line we can adjust the actual year based on the menu up on top. So once we've set the correct year, we can change the menu option by turning the upper line to the right, which goes to the month. And using the lower line, we can adjust the month to the current month. Once you've accomplished that, again, the upper line to the right will give you the day of the month. And again, using the lower line, you can adjust the day to the current day of the week. The next parameter is the hour. Again, the upper line is changing the menu, the lower line is changing the functionality within that menu. So we're going to set this one to 9 a.m. and when you turn the upper line to the next menu item, we're allowed to set the minute. Using the lower line, we can adjust the minute to the current time. Once we've accomplished that, the next menu feature is the zone, what time zone you're in. Currently we're in Pacific, but that's adjustable to Alaska time, Mountain, Central, Eastern, Atlantic, even Hawaii. So there's many features in here that you can use. You find the Central, in our case we're in the Pacific time zone, so we're going to set it to Pacific. The next feature is auto daylight savings. This allows the clock to adjust when auto daylight savings occurs 2 times a year. So you can have the option, again using the lower line, to have that as yes or no. Certain places like Arizona and Indiana don't have daylight savings, so they would select no. The most important feature in the setup mode is setting the active stations. The number of stations that you have actually wired into the controller are defined in this mode. So you have a maximum available of 12 on this controller. But if you only have 4 zones, you want to set the active zones up correctly so that no bare wires are sent a signal out, which could create an alert, which we'll talk about in another episode. So once you have the correct setting, you can turn the upper line, and now it's going to give you a menu item called master valve. If you don't know if you have a master valve or a pump start relay, you want to disable this. If you do have a master valve or a pump start relay, you want this enabled. In our case, we do not have a master valve, so I'm going to disable it. Most people do not. The next feature has to do with stacking. And stacking is a feature in which allows you to run multiple programs simultaneously. When stacking yes, you're only given 1 start time in Schedule A. If you want more than 1 start time and you have the ability to run more than 1 program or schedule at a time, stacking no gives you that functionality. Most customers will have stacking yes. The next feature is not active at this time, so leave it at 1, 2, 3, 4. Same with the ET zone. Leave it at default. The maximum backup ET part 1 is in case the controller ever lost the ET signal. This is what it would water to on a weekly basis. Everybody is somewhere between 1.5 and 3.0 depending on the area of the country you're in. Palm Springs is more arid. It would probably be a 3.0. You'll need to check your area to make sure you select the right one. By default it's 2.0 and usually we leave it there. You'll see that the part 2, by turning the upper line, the part 2 represents the right of the decimal. So if you have a need to set it to 2.5, you can do so by turning the lower line and adjust the decimal point to the right. In this case, we're going to set it to 2.25. That means that if it ever went in default, it would be 2¼ inches per week. Setting this time zone is critical when you get the ET. So make sure that each one of the digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are set up correctly. If you need to adjust it, again, the lower line does the adjustment, the upper line is changing the menu feature. You'll see the little cursor moving, and that adjusts that digit where the cursor is at. And that completes the setup portion of the ET controller.